Maybe someone can explain this one, how a movie can bomb at the box office epically and yet, some way, somehow, become a cult classic. Movies that even the studios couldn't figure out how to market after making the movie, audiences absolutely fell in love with them when they hit home video. Cult classics again. How did they become cult classics if the movie failed at the box office? And some movies that were just flat out rejected by audiences because they completely violated the comic books that they were based off of, and yet some way, somehow, years down the line, fans fell in love with it, and it developed quite an audience and a fan following.
Pathetic earthlings, hurling your bodies out into the void without the slightest inkling of who or what is out here. If you had known anything about the true nature of the universe, anything at all, you would have hidden from it in terror.
In 1980, Flash Gordon was released in theaters with a production of $20 to $27 million, at least according to Google, and that is exactly what it took in worldwide, $27 million, which means that this thing failed beyond belief back in the day. But why? Why did it fail? Well, it failed because so many people were thinking about the 1950s Flash Gordon and how much of a serious story that was, and when this came along, it came across as very cheesy and childish. But the question is, was this a silly, childish movie? And the answer is no. And I guess it honestly depends on your perspective. But to me, even back when I was a kid, I absolutely love this movie, and to this day, I think it's a lot of fun. Ming the Merciless has his eyes set on conquering Earth, and it is up to Flash Gordon, Hans Zarkov, and Dale Arden to fly up there and save the planet from Ming. How they find their way up to the kingdom of Mongo is still a decent story as well. They get kidnapped by Dr. Zarkov, who thinks the Earth is under attack by Ming, and he gets proven right. In my opinion, the 1980 film Flash Gordon is a solid story. By today's standard, the special effects are definitely bad, but the story itself is still good. If you haven't seen the 1980 film Flash Gordon, I really think you should go watch it. It's a lot of fun. It may seem silly and a bit campy to some of you out there, but it's a lot of fun and well worth your time.
Curse you, Banzai! Don't you realize what you're saying? Your whole plan is going to be destroyed and you sit here wasting time.
Time? I got nothing but time.
Sealed with a curse as sharp as a knife. Doomed is your soul and damned is your life.
Buzz off.
Now, if you want to talk about a movie that royally failed at the box office, we have The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. It had a budget of $12 million and it only took in $6 million. This movie was an epic failure, and part of the problem with this is, number one, poor marketing. Producers, even the CEO of the studio, had no idea what this movie was about. Was it science fiction? Was it an adventure story? What was it? They couldn't figure out how to describe this story. And yet, some way, somehow, as time went on, this film became a cult classic, and it absolutely is one of my favorites.
Why didn't you make, Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League? Basically because David Begelman so hated the movie that it became like a non-issue. There was no way he was going to make a sequel. He wasn't even going to support the original.
They signed us up for 5 sequels because they had high hopes for the film. So we had high hopes. I mean, all the guys that I knew, we were all looking forward to doing the next one and the next one and the next one.
When I think back about it, I'm so glad we persisted. I'm so glad that I didn't let Begelman shut it down and that all those people got to do what they did, and here we sit.
The movie itself had so many great things going for it. The story was decent. The cast was amazing. Peter Weller, Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Lloyd, John Lithgow. The list goes on with actors who really weren't discovered before this movie, and afterwards, their careers just exploded. And I'm not going to say it's because of this, but I am saying that this was one of the last things that they did before they really got recognized. And it's just a damn shame that this film did not get the attention it deserved at the theater. But once again, a movie that bombed at the theater became such an amazing cult classic. Now on to our final box office bomb that became a cult classic, Howard the Duck.
Release the small water fowl. Bring me the gold key, Howard.
Right, the code key. You heard him. Cut me loose.
Sounds like a bunch of bull pucky to me.
Oh my God!
Now this one's interesting because it made 37.9 million worldwide. But the sad part about it is that is exactly what the budget was. It was $37 million. This movie, it failed. It failed epically. And the arguments that have been made over the years about it is the fact that it didn't respect the comic book. It was a complete rewrite of who this character was and how he interacted with the people around him. All right, so here's a question for you. Is this really a bad movie? I mean, yeah, they definitely took a lot of liberties with it. They changed a lot of the story around. But honestly, think about this now. Is it really that bad? I know a lot of people really freaked out back in the 80s when they saw the scene here that looked like it could be like Lisa Thomas was getting it on with a duck. But for the most part, I honestly thought it was a decent film. The Dark Overlord, Howard trying to stay alive and hoping that he can get himself back home. It really wasn't a bad story. But as films go, like I said before, it bombed big time. There is no way that I could ever see a sequel coming from this film, and I'm sure Spielberg is hanging his head in shame over what happened here. But the film itself, as I said a couple of times already, it wasn't bad. It was enjoyable, and I still think it's enjoyable today. It became such a cult classic that they even put it out on 4K. If this movie had bombed, and if this had been rejected by so many over the years, it never would have made it to the 4K status. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on these movie picks that I just selected here. What do you think of Flash Gordon, Buckaroo Banzai, and Howard the Duck? And can you name any other films out there that may have bombed big time at the box office and became cult classics? Drop those comments below and let me know. Until the next time, my friends, God bless.